my story, it starts at exactly 7:39 on the 14th of August 2014, the day I broke my neck. 2 months previously, I'd started a new job, an exciting change that I hoped would herald a new chapter in my career as a veterinary surgeon. 1 month previously, I completed the famous Nijmegen marches as part of my Army Reserve team, 100 miles of road marching over 4 days. And in 1 week's time, my husband and I were due to go sailing round the west coast of Wales. Life was busy, and life felt good. But on that beautiful August morning, as I was cycling to work, a collision with a black Mondeo would change my life forever. A collision that broke all the bones in my face, damaged my shoulder, broke my back, broke my neck, and devastatingly caused a spinal cord injury and tetraplegia. Now, I've had my fair share of challenges through my life. I've rowed competitively for my university. I've been deployed to Afghanistan. And for years, I ran a busy veterinary hospital in the centre of Cardiff. I've always thought of challenges as something exciting, something inspiring. They'll be difficult, and they'll test your abilities. But that's part of the motivation. That's part of the reason why you choose to take them on. And there was the key difference. I'd always chosen those challenges. I'd wanted to do them. I hadn't chosen this. Now, I know that broken necks happen, but they happen to other people, don't they? Not to me. Lying there in ITU, as the ventilator breathed for me, I realised that I had become one of those other people, and it didn't seem real. I was facing the greatest challenge of my life, and it was one that I desperately didn't want. My husband held my hand, and as the reality of my injury sank in, he whispered to me, "We're strong. We can do this. You can do this." And I thought, maybe he's right. I can do this. I will do this. And in that moment, I vowed to be positive, to look forwards. I may not have had a choice about my broken neck, but I did have a choice about something, and that was my approach. And you know what? Among the shock and the disbelief about my injury, making that decision to be positive, it shifted my whole perspective, because it was a choice that I had made. And suddenly I felt like I was one step closer to being back in control. Maybe not in control of my paralysed body, but in control of how I was going to embrace this challenge. So how did I do it? Making the decision to be positive, that's the easy bit. But staying positive, that's the hard part. And I learnt 3 things. Number 1, celebrate the small wins. To start, I couldn't find anything good about my newly paralysed body, and I had to go searching for the positives, however small, and treat them as a win. So I did, and I surprised myself. The more I looked for them, the more I found. Coming off the ventilator and being able to talk again. The removal of my tracheostomy. The taste of real food after 15 days of being tube-fed. All wins. Moving from ITU to the spinal ward and being given special glasses that transformed my view of the ceiling to one where I could actually see my visitors, even if I did look ridiculous. Both wins. And in celebrating the small wins, I noticed they built into bigger wins. Learning to push objects around my table with my paralysed hands. Win. Learning to pick up foam balls that the physiotherapist recommended. Bigger win. But learning to pick up giant chocolate buttons and get them in my mouth. Huge win. I was lucky. I am lucky. My injury is incomplete, and I started to get recovery. I could celebrate being held upright for the first time in 10 weeks. The independence of getting my own manual wheelchair. And the sheer delight of taking my first steps in the parallel bars, even if I did have a bag of catheterised urine sloshing around my ankles. Each improvement made me hungry for the next. I knew that I'd never get all my function back, At some point, my recovery would plateau. However hard I worked for, or however much I wanted that next improvement, it didn't mean that it would come. And that's the other reason to celebrate the small wins in life, because you never know when they might end. Don't hold out for tomorrow's finale. You might always be waiting. Instead, find the win for today, take it, and enjoy it. The second thing I learnt, you have to work at it. Making the decision to be positive, it wasn't some quick psychological fix, and I found it tough. I find it tough. I struggled to stay positive through the nausea of urinary catheter infections, through the claustrophobia of my neck brace, and the seemingly endless 60 days of completely flat bed rest, the tears of neuropathic pain and spasms. It was the parts that never returned that were the hardest, the paralysed fingers that barely move, and the bladder and bowels that follow their own routines, completely unrelated to my own. These were not the areas for celebration, or the things that my friends congratulated me on, but this was where I needed all my resolve to stay positive. So I worked at it, and I still work at it. I don't want to be angry, or waste my energy on what-ifs. What if that driver had taken a moment longer to look before turning? What if I'd broken my neck, but my spinal cord was still intact? No, I wanted to be positive. So I looked for and celebrated those small wins. And I kept repeating my mantra, stay positive, look forwards. And the more I repeated it, the more I found I believed it. And the more I believed it, the more I felt like I took control of my situation, rather than it taking control of me. And the final thing I learned, different can be good. One of the hardest things I've had to do is to grieve for my old life. I'm never going to be a clinical veterinary surgeon again, nor have the chance to better my 37-minute 10K PB. And my career as a veterinary officer in the Army Reserves is over. Trying to hold on to those things just reminded me of my disability. I had to grieve to move on and realise that I was never going to recreate my pre-accident life. Life was going to be different, but different can be good. I've played wheelchair tennis and wheelchair rugby. I've been sit water skiing and sit skiing. I've been gliding, whitewater kayaking and recumbent cycling. And I would love to tell you that this was the start of my journey to become a para-athlete, but I'll let you into a secret. I couldn't throw a catch before my accident, and I sure can't do it now. Instead, getting involved in those activities meant I met people that both humbled and inspired me in their approach to life. And the people that inspired me the most, not the Paralympians or the charity ambassadors, but those people who, however severe their injuries, were just quietly getting on with their everyday lives. They showed me that it was possible to adapt, that I didn't need my disability to define me when I was rebuilding my post-accident life. And they showed me that there was no reason why I could not have an ordinary life, just like anybody else. I've come to realise that this challenge was never about success or failure. There's no such thing. It was about taking control of it so that it did not take control of me. And for me, that was by making the decision to aim to be positive, to celebrate the wins in life, to work at enjoying it, and to embrace the fact that it would never be the same again. So where am I now? It's 3.5 years since my accident, and I'm permanently disabled, an incomplete tetraplegic. But I'm lucky. After 2 years in rehab, I can walk short distances on crutches, I can use my paralysed hands to the best of their ability, and I can drive. I'm studying for a Master's in Veterinary Epidemiology. I'm about to start training to be a magistrate in Cardiff. And most importantly, I'm thoroughly enjoying being mum to 1-year-old William. I may not have chosen this life, but I'm embracing the challenge of taking back control, and I'm determined to make the most of it. Thank you.